Hey, if you're a parent or a caregiver for an autistic child, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that is just so important for your child's well-being: autism masking. Our goal here is pretty simple: to unpack what it is, why it happens, and most importantly, how you can help create a space where your child can be their most authentic, wonderful self. Let's figure this out together. Right from the get-go, let's just get this straight because it's the foundation for everything we're about to talk about. This is the core philosophy. We are not talking about fixing your child. We are talking about shifting the world around them, making it safer and more accepting so that their true self has a chance to emerge. Does this scenario sound painfully familiar? You get a glowing report from the teacher: "Oh, they were a perfect angel today." But the second your child walks through that front door, it's like a switch flips and everything just falls apart. Look, this isn't them being difficult. It's not manipulation. It is almost always a sign of a massive, hidden struggle they have been dealing with all day long. So here's our game plan. We're going to break this down into 5 parts. First, we'll define this hidden struggle. Then we'll get into the need for safety. After that, we'll talk about the huge mental load it takes. Then we'll get to the good stuff, how you can help. And finally, why this all matters so much for the long haul. All right, let's jump right into part 1, a hidden struggle. That thing we were just talking about, the after-school meltdown, it has a name. And just understanding it is a huge first step. The official term for it is masking. Sometimes you'll hear it called camouflaging. And it's exactly what it sounds like: hiding your natural autistic traits to try and fit in, to meet those unspoken social rules. And here's the really crucial part. A lot of the time, this isn't even a conscious choice. For so many kids, it becomes an automatic, deeply ingrained survival instinct. So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, it can be forcing themselves to make eye contact even when it feels physically painful. It's suppressing the urge to do something that calms their body, like rocking or flapping their hands. It can look like mimicking their friends, copying their slang, their jokes, their body language. It's sitting in a loud classroom and pretending the noise isn't overwhelming, and just pushing through a level of exhaustion that is honestly hard to even imagine. So why? Why on earth would a child feel the need to do all of that? Well, it all boils down to one of the most fundamental human needs we have: the need to feel safe. And we can actually understand this through the lens of our own nervous system. Now, this might look a little technical, but I promise it's pretty simple. Think of it like a traffic light for your body. When you're in ventral vagal, that's the green light. You feel safe, connected, you can be yourself. But when the system senses a threat, it shifts into sympathetic. That's the yellow light. You're on high alert. This is where masking lives. On the outside, a child might look fine, but inside, their engine is revving with anxiety. And if it gets to be too much, the system hits the brakes and goes into dorsal vagal, the red light. That's shut. And this right here, this might be the most important thing to get from this whole section. You cannot teach a child to be authentic. You can't drill it into them. Authenticity isn't a skill to be learned. It's what naturally happens when a child's nervous system finally feels safe enough to let its guard down. Okay, on to our third section, the hidden cognitive load. Because holding that mask up all day long, it isn't just emotionally draining. It takes a massive amount of brain power. This slide just lays out the cause and effect so perfectly. On the left, you've got all the invisible work happening under the hood, constantly monitoring yourself, trying to manage your feelings, trying to be flexible. All of that just burns through their executive function resources. That's the brain's CEO, basically. And on the right, that's the result. That's what you see at home. The meltdowns, the fatigue. What might look like defiance is really just a brain that has completely run out of fuel. Okay, so knowing all that, next question is pretty obvious, right? What in the world do we do about it? How can we lower those demands and create that safety? Let's get into the most empowering part, section 4, how you can help. We're going to walk through 6 practical, concrete strategies you can use to start building what we'll call a mask-free zone for your child. And it all begins at home. Your home needs to be the one place in the entire world where that heavy mask can be taken off and set down. And that means you actively work to normalize your child's natural ways of being, and you lower the pressure to perform socially. A huge piece of this puzzle is adopting this one powerful mindset shift. Regulation comes before behavior. So instead of trying to correct a behavior in the moment, we focus on connection and safety first. What does that look like? It means letting your child stim freely because that's a tool their body uses to feel okay. It means not forcing them to say hi to every single relative at a party if they're just not feeling it. Next, we can lower that mental workload by building in structure. Predictability is like a warm, calming blanket for a brain that is already working overtime. When the brain knows what's coming, it frees up so much energy. At the same time, we can gently, without pressure, help our kids learn to recognize what their own body is telling them. So, what are the actual tools here? We're talking about simple stuff, visual schedules so they can see the plan for the day, giving a 5-minute warning before it's time to leave the playground, using really clear, simple language, and always giving them that extra beat to process what you've said. It makes a world of difference. And finally, we have to take this work beyond our own front door. That means being a strong advocate for your child at school. And this one is so important. It means paying attention to our own nervous system. Our kids co-regulate with us. That's just a fancy way of saying our calm is contagious. When we are regulated, it sends a powerful signal to their nervous system that they are safe. So when you talk to the school, you can suggest specific supports like these. Maybe it's a quiet space they can go to when they're overwhelmed. Or maybe it's letting them write a report instead of presenting it to the whole class. And remember, accommodations are not about giving an unfair advantage. They are about providing fair access. Here's a little checklist, and please don't look at this like it's a test you have to pass. It's just a gentle guide for reflection. Is your home a place where big feelings are welcome? Is rest treated like a basic human need, not a reward to be earned? It's all about making progress, not being perfect, and showing your child they're loved and accepted exactly as they are. And all of that brings us to our final and maybe most critical section. Why does all of this work matter so much? Because lowering the need for your child to mask is one of the single most important things you can do for their mental health, for the rest of their life. The stakes here are incredibly high. We know from research that chronic, long-term masking is directly linked to anxiety, depression, and what's known as autistic burnout. But on the flip side, every time we reduce that need to mask, we are actively building a foundation for a regulated nervous system, for emotional resilience, and for a strong, solid sense of who they are. I want you to think of it this way. All the effort you're putting in, all the patience, all the advocacy, it's not just about getting through a tough afternoon today. It is essential, proactive, preventative mental health care that will benefit your child for their entire life. So let's end with this, and I really want you to let this sink in. If you are just now learning about all of this, you are not behind. Your child is not broken, and being their true self is not something they should ever have to earn. Every single time you choose connection over correction, every time you choose safety over compliance, you are giving your child the most profound gift there is, the freedom to be them. And that is everything.